Welcome everyone to the weekly team Smart Builders Mastermind. Today we're doing a little bit of house cleaning, R&D, and just making sure some TLC, some tender loving care to the system. And we've got Vince with us and we've got Pearl with us. And collectively, we're gonna look at the system and come up with a little bit more streamlined version of it. And anyone watching the recording that has any comments or concerns, bring that up in the group after if you have any other great ideas or things that we maybe might have missed, just so that's open. We don't need to be the overarching people that decide, but we're the ones that showed up tonight, so we're gonna have a bigger influence on what this looks like by the end of the night. So I'm gonna get and show my screen and show everyone what we're looking at right now. And even first, before we do that, we can kind of just like take a big deep breath and kind of just set the right intention before we start this meeting. And that's all just very personal, but I can even kind of give a brief intention. Our intention is to make sure that our system provides the best customer experience, the best customer success, and doesn't leave anybody behind. That's my intention with what we create tonight. You guys can set your own intentions too, and we'll move forward with that. So what happens is when the people come to the group and they're a newer member, they end up getting these 3 questions asked to them, which we tried it out last week, but we've been finding that it's not that effective. And some people aren't necessarily answering the questions. And so basically what came up, what Pearl is, what came up was, do we invite people if they haven't answered the questions? And I wasn't too sure of this at first, but I think what's happening is good people are getting declined or not making it inside the group just because of a tech problem is the way I'm looking at it now more. And so what I want to do is just simplify it. And so would you guys think it'd be a good idea leaving this first question here? It's kind of like, where'd you hear about us? You know, if someone invited you, please include their full name. And that just gives us a little bit of an idea. Obviously, we understand with this going forward that not everyone gets these questions for some reason due to tech or due to an unupdated app, or maybe they're using a version of Facebook like Facebook Lite that just doesn't support this feature, right? So they can see the group, they can come in and talk on the group, they can comment, but sometimes different app or APIs don't have the full functions that the full app does. And so if someone's using Facebook Lite, they probably aren't getting these questions, which might be why we're having this problem. I'm not sure. It's really hard to identify, but I just want to kind of make it blanket. And I think even this week, I can take a screenshot of these so that we have them on file. We can always come back to this, but I'm thinking it'd be a good idea to just keep this first question, and the new kind of like, the way I'm looking at it is, even if they don't answer this first question, it's at the builder's discretion. The moderators, the leaders, whichever you want to call us, it's at our discretion whether we want to invite them to the group, whether or not they answer this question or not. And I don't know if that resonates with you guys, if that makes a little bit more sense. And then what I'm also basically opening up again, which is one thing I was kind of warding away from. And Michael, if you're watching this, I know you're probably like, oh gosh, he's changing it again. But really, honestly, I'm just giving you guys multiple options to get people into the group and start seeing the welcome video so that they can learn a little bit more. And I'm gonna make improvements to this welcome video as we keep growing. So if you have more suggestions or things we should add into this, let me know that, and I'll make sure that gets into the videos, because I don't think it's fully displaying truly who we are yet, but eventually it will, and it'll all just keep updating here. But what we can do again now is, if someone is like, a couple different reasons why you might use this invite members feature now going forward. I said I warned against it because if you just add people directly, one, you're making that decision for them now to join the group, which is not necessarily in sales is not necessarily a smart decision, because it'd be like someone like trying to like force the food sample down their throat. You know, it's like, here, you'll enjoy this, take it, eat it, and like literally force feeding them, rather than offering and being like, would you like to try this? You know, and when people, and then that puts the power in the other person's court. So I warn against inviting people directly. I usually give them the link and give them the option and be like, here, if you want to come check it out, click the link and join the group. And then so they've made the decision now. I haven't convinced them of anything. I haven't forced anything down their throats, you know, anything like that. So it feels very natural to them, and they come in on their own intentions. They don't come in wondering what the heck are my intentions, right? They're coming in for a reason and for something more personal to them. But here is the but. If someone is, you know, not very tech savvy, or they're a friend or a family that doesn't really need the whole like spiel of like, would you be interested? And I think you'd be curious. Like, you don't need to sell them per se. You just have a conversation with them and say, hey, come check out my new group, see if you like it. And they're like, sure, you could come in here now. And you guys, if you guys have never done this before, I'll just kind of review what this feature is. This is the invite members feature. You'll only be able to do this, I think, at the moment, is if you're an admin. And if you're building Atomy, and if you're using the 1, 2, 3 ABC method, you can gain admin privileges to be able to add these members. And yeah, you'll basically earn that ability by showing us that you're doing the 1, 2, 3 ABC method in your own way and generating new prospects and new leads in some way. You don't have to use my method. Maybe you're doing stuff offline, but you still want to leverage the smart consumers community. By all means, just share with us what you're doing and how it's working, and that could really benefit other people. But how this feature works is, okay, so I have a family member, I have a friend, I have someone that's interested, and I know they're not very tech savvy, or I know I don't need to get them to click through a link and you know, get them to answer questions, all that kind of stuff. I just want to add them. You could come here, and I'm going to add here my mother here. So she's already inside the group, but essentially you would do that for the person, and then it would say the invite has been sent. And the next thing you can do is to let everyone know that this person I just invited was my invitee, or like this person is my lead through my marketing efforts. And that's just to keep everything fair and make sure no one accidentally, you know, whatever. It's just to kind of basically claim that person and show it to everyone on the group that, hey, that person is mine. And this is really important later on if we get other people that become builders eventually. You know, we'll have to really vet these people to make sure that they're ethical and honest, but some might slip through the cracks. Essentially, this would be the only way that we'd figure out if someone was, you know, stealing people's leads and stuff like that, which it's not something to really worry about. It's a possible thing that can happen. But at least if we tag the person that we bring in, so everyone's been doing this properly here, but if you're a builder and you invite someone, you tag them. And another thing is, if they haven't accepted the invite, they're gonna come up gray here, which means they're actually not gonna get tagged. They're not gonna actually get the notification. So I would check in and check in with them once you sent them the invite and be like, hey, I just sent you the invite for the group. Can you check your notifications and accept the invite? Because like if they're very non-tech savvy, like my mother, as you can see, she has not accepted the invite. So I will have to check up with her, and it would go very similar, something like this. I can include these texts in the training, but essentially what we're doing now is we're streamlining the inviting process. And so, like I said, this is only for people that are non-tech savvy. So I go, hey, Jackie, I sent you an invite for the smart consumers. Can you please check your notifications and accept the invite when you get a chance. Thank you. Right? Something like that. And again, this is like, would be kind of like, I'm not even going to talk about follow-up because we just need to kind of get this clear and answer some questions, and that'll probably be good for this tonight. But eventually I'm going to teach people follow-up, which means the messages you send to people after they've joined the group. I actually haven't shown anyone that, and just letting people just do their own thing. I noticed Michael was doing a little bit of follow-up on his own, and that's great. Some people understand that people just don't automatically sign up to stuff just because you invited them to a group. And just ask yourself, do you automatically just sign up to something when someone just randomly invites you to a group? Maybe yes.
Not normally.
Not normally. No, you need to like learn.
Not normally.
No.
Yeah, I like to know more.
I like to know more, and like I think I'm probably one of the more frivolous, or not. That's the opposite. I'm one of the more I wanted to say gullible. I'm not so gullible as much anymore. I got a little bit more thicker skin, but I'm very, I spend my money easily. What's that term? Like, you know, like, I don't know what it is, but I'm very easily convinced to buy something new. I'm always that person that goes and buys that new thing or whatever like that. So I am the most susceptible to that, I feel. And for me,
actually, I am as well, Brody.
Yes, you know, and I think a lot of people that do these types of businesses have a little bit of that, where they can see the vision, they can see the power, and they don't just discredit things right away. And it's not necessarily a negative quality, but I find a person like that. And so this is like the people that might join in the first week or more after you inviting them, is they come in, you invite them, so the way I was showing you right here is only on special occasions. And I'll try and make this clear within the training, but if we even just bring up the training here right now, and does anyone have any questions on that specific part of that special inviting basically sequence for people that are non-tech savvy, or like people's grandmas or something like that? Like, I'm not too sure, like people non-tech savvy, because someone could be older and still really tech savvy too. So that's the way I just look at it, is they don't usually use Facebook. So getting them to click a link and then try and join is just sometimes too much.
Well, the questions are quite straightforward, because I've joined a few groups where you have questions very similar. So I think those particular questions are fine.
And
they're not super personal. They're really quite open and straight about the group.
Absolutely.
I feel those questions.
And I thought they would be fairly effective, but they're really confusing and troubling some of the other members right now. So it's just like, I want people's experience to be top quality. And, you know, I think some people are feeling like, oh, if my people are missing the questions, that's a huge problem, and the system's broken because they're not seeing the question. So I'm like, oh my gosh, let's just try it without questions for this week and see how that goes, because the connection that these questions aren't the big things that are going to make them want to buy right away. They help. They just helped along the way. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, Pearl. But I think we're just going to keep this one question for right now. And that's just kind of telling us, where did you come from? Did you come from just searching smart consumers on, or you know, just searching in this search bar? Because that's how people sometimes find groups, oddly enough. They
That's
just
right.
find it, and then they just join
and
it.
This is a main question in a lot of online, when you're looking through Google and you answer something, go, where did you hear about us? So that's actually quite a normal question.
And it's a good question.
It's a worldwide question.
It's a great question. Yeah. and it works, because it's like, it's not that intrusive at all. It's not like I'm asking them for their email or their phone number or where they live or what they ate for lunch last night, stuff like that. That's really going to creep them out. It's just like, where did you hear about us? And the really nice thing is, if we're getting a lot from a certain type of area, like eventually if you're doing marketing, they'd be like, oh, I've seen you on Google. Oh, I've seen you on Twitter. You know, I seen you somewhere, and then that helps us understand, oh, it's really working well over there, right? And so you're like, let's do more of that. And so this could be a question for right now. It's just to determine who's lead or who's invitee, who invited this person, right? Was it Gloria? Was it Pearl? Was it Michael? Was it Vince? Was it Anita? You know, was it Jakura? I maybe said that wrong. But that's what I'm saying. It kind of just helps us get really clear and even let people know, right? That, hey, you got a new person, go ahead and approve them.
Yeah.
And really, and yeah,
exactly.
It's a great kind of like file keeping way. So we'll keep this question. What I want to say right now, Michael, welcome for joining us. That's what I'm going to say right now.
Yeah.
Once Michael can hear us. So Michael, we've done a little bit so far, 15 minutes or so. This is all recorded. So later on when I open it up, and I apologize if the time felt like it changed, but this is an hour before or half an hour before is the concrete time that we'll be going with going forward. Whether that wasn't clear or not, it doesn't really matter. I've got a Google Calendar schedule. So if everyone sends me, I actually probably have most of your emails, but I'll get everyone to drop their emails within the Smart Builders group, and I can get you guys on reminders that will notify you on your computer, on your phone, and in your email when these meetings are happening in your time zone. So that will really help everyone, you know, to let them know when exactly the time is the meeting and plan around that, their activities and stuff too.
Yeah.
Gloria, welcome.
Can I say
Morning,
something?
Gloria.
Yeah, go ahead, Vince.
Good morning, everybody. I'm lying in bed, so you can't see me at the moment. Brody, what I want to say is I always have the aspiration to make a system that is accessible to non-techie people because we want to reach out to the whole world. Okay, so if I may say so, we should just have one standard way of adding people instead of giving them a choice of sending a link and also to add them for whatever reasons, you know. People might get confused, especially those non-techie people.
Okay.
So I'm still going back to the very, very basic of ATM, the ATM.
Well, and the thing is, for a reason that ATM doesn't work is because you're adding the people, they're not adding themselves, which, like I said, is like force feeding a sample of food when you're at Costco or something.
No.
Throat.
Yeah.
They have to choose to decide whether or not they want to join the group. That is their decision, right?
Yeah. Let me finish, Brody.
Okay.
The ATM may not be the best procedure in terms of your 1, 2, 3. You know, I'm trying to combine the 1, 2, 3 into ATM in the sense that we fine tune what was happening in the ATM system. We can have the pre-message. We can ask people for permission to add them. All these are standard messages, and if they agree, then we will add them by adding normally instead of the link, you know. And once we have added in, we will follow up with standard messages again, you know, to ask them to accept the notification and tell them that we are going to tag you with certain information, the announcement video and all that. We'd like you to take a look at that and see whether it resonates with you, you know. So is that tagging one day say, I will contact you within the next 10 days because you have got a duration of 10 days to check all this out. So that will come to the messaging part. So when it comes to the messaging part, we will have standard messages as well to ask them, you know.
Yeah.
What is the best that you like in this and all that?
And that's where it's just like, I understand that. To me, it's very unique whether I'm adding them or sending them a link. But if we were to agree, even as like a show of hands, what would you guys rather? Would you rather add people to the group directly and then let them know, hey, I just sent you an invite, can you please accept it? Or would you rather them send them a link and let them click the link and add themselves?
When you go to the adding stage direct from the page, when you add somebody, it it is shown your name, who is the person who invited. So there's
Right.
no
That's
problem
true
of trying
too.
to trace.
That's true
There's no
too.
no problem in tracing. But in the case of the link, you're given them an option. And when they do not put in the name, then you have a challenge of avoiding adding the wrong people in the wrong line.
That
You
is
know
a
what
good
I'm saying?
benefit. That is a good benefit of adding directly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's one for adding directly for sure.
So what I'm trying to say is that the ATM is just a start. Let's try to work towards refining the procedures to make it automated to such an extent that we don't need any techie knowledge to run this system. So that every Tom, Dick, and Harry can get into the system and build the SME business by following the ATM method.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
And then the other thing is we should have a standard FAQ, frequently asked questions, so that when they ask a question, we can go and copy and paste into the messaging so that those people will have a ready answer. There's no need to have their own ideas of how to answer, you know.
Oh yeah, and I've started that already and stuff, but we very much are still trying to teach people what 1, 2, 3 and how to invite. So we can't
Like for
really
example, the question, is it MLM? So the other day when you gave us the messages, the answer, it was very, very good. So if it's in the FAQ, we just have to copy and paste and put it in our own wording, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's definitely something that we can have and implement for sure. For sure, for sure. That is good stuff. So we basically, I don't know what the best way to present this stuff is because I don't want to confuse people. That honestly, confuse people or frustrated people, and it's just not a fun experience for anyone. But as we go through some of these iterations and changes, we are simplifying it down and getting it down into, like Vince said, something that even a non-techie person could jump in and do. And I think the move from the invite message, dropping the link and letting them go through it, and basically ending that way of inviting people and going back to maybe more a traditional way, maybe people that way understood even a little bit better, of inviting them directly after you've asked them if they'd like to be invited, which our messaging sequence does correctly. And if everyone understands that and would be open to seeing what that would look like, I could do like a 15-minute rundown of what that looks like so that we could all be on par for that. Because I think that would be worth a shot. I think that'd be worth a try for some of the qualities that you mentioned, simplicity, and it codes people. It shows who invited who. So then asking the questions, these other things that are maybe causing some of the hiccups, we can eliminate it all. And we'll know that they're getting the invite to the group. Takes away a lot of the uncertainty whether or not this person, so I'm seeing thumbs up. Cool.
And the inviting messages as well, I have tested and I found that the more effective way is to bring to the attention of people that there is a possibility of saving between 30 to 80% of the prices they are paying for similar products like in Atomy. And I just say that, this is the best time for us to save some money, especially in these times. If you are interested, I can show you the next step or whatever it is. And I've been able to get people to want to come in, and there are people who has been in the system for about 4 months to 9 months. And they suddenly approach me and say that, let me know what is happening. So I tell them, okay, the Mighty Atoms program just involve people to shop smartly to save 30 to 80% of the prices of whatever high quality products that they are already consuming. Let me know if you're interested. I'll add you to the group to check it out,
Awesome.
And that's what I do.
And
they accepted it. And they came back and asked for more information. Then what I did was they didn't want to meet me online. So what I did was I just sent them the link to my account with a guest password for them to check out the shopping mall and the pricing.
Right.
And then I follow up with them. I say, have you had time to check it out? If you are if you want to take the next step, let me know when you're ready to sign up, and I'll give you a sponsor ID. So
Yeah, I
they
think
put
that's
a thumbs
powerful.
up. Yeah, they put a thumbs up, but now I'm waiting for them to really confirm before I give them the ID.
Yeah, I know, because that it's quite a bit of steps to get them to sign up to that account, and you want to really have them excited, you know, because they're going to be giving some of their personal informations and stuff like that as well. So yeah, I think that's a good method, or definitely one way of doing it.
The thing I'm thinking of is that if we were to say that create income, you know, whatever, it sounds like you are just like any other one in the market. So we have to do something that is totally unique,
Right.
that will catch people's attention to want to know out of curiosity what is happening. You know, what is this all about? You know, can I really save 30 to 80%? You know, whoa, that's something that will help me. You know, then let them try the product first. I don't want to talk to them about the business. Try the product first, then I'll take you to the next step. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. And we're fleshing that out in between the meetings and stuff like that. And we can get into customizing the message, you know, the mission and the promise. But we're very much in still, how do we deliver this message and promise? And mine is like this cookie cutter version. And it's even changed from financial anxiety to more just healthy, high quality, effective products right now, right? Maybe we introduce something like that eventually, like that are also 30 to 80% off of the cost that you're already, or some, you know, a wording in that sense. But we got to, especially with messaging, you can test and try out and go and then bring data, because if we don't have real data, it's hard to really see what's working better. I'm seeing this message convert at about 8% right now. So for every 100 messages I take out, from 5 to 8% people are reaching back out. And then I still have to work out of those 100 people, how many people are actually joining the group, and then eventually how many are actually purchasing product down the line. But it takes a bit of time and stuff to just even set up the tracking for that. But just even taking an account, if I send out 25 messages today, how many people actually reached out and said, hey, I'm interested in that? And then you might try a little bit of a different message the next day, and then just record. Were there more people that reached out? And then you kind of got to do that over a week. You can't just do it day by day, because you need to have a decent sample size. And that's why I just say move slowly with that, but do try different iterations and see what works better. Or if the one you were using before was working fine and there was no need to change it. That can sometimes happen too. You keep changing it, but what was working before was actually working fine and there was no need to change it, you know? But that's you only can understand that through testing. So I agree, we can just test in the future, and I can do some testing behind the scene, and then really come up and help everyone. You know, together we can come to a really solid message structure that like is super engaging. It's truthful. It's honest to us, and we don't sound like everybody else. And people can realize that, hey, this is something that's unique. This doesn't sound like everybody else's thing, right? I think that's what everyone wants to basically let everyone know right off the hop. And to do that in a few short couple sentences, I mean, I'm open to suggestions for sure. But let's move on with just the structure of this invite process. Once again, 15 minutes quickly here. And then, yeah, we can open it up into a little question period. But I just kind of wanted to, from this moment on, and so it's good we got Gloria, Vince, and Pearl, and Michael on here, because I think we are the main builders right now. And if you feel like you're a main builder too, then, you know, by all means, there's a couple others that have been showing up, doing the actions and stuff as well. It doesn't mean if you're not here on the call, it doesn't mean that you're not a main builder, but these are the people showing up, and these are the people that I basically give my onus to, or that we're building this together, and you know, you guys have the biggest impact on what this looks like. So I want to just let you guys know this is now like version 2.0 of the, well, I mean, we've changed the versions on without trying to confuse. This is the new way that we're producing this system, inviting the system. So I'm just going to give you a little rundown. Not a lot has changed. I'll just be honest. So optimization hasn't changed that much. Well, it hasn't changed at all, I should say, sorry. I've added some different examples here. some different examples of ways you can optimize. I just grabbed this one from Myra recently. I thought that was really cool. Hers was really fun with the emojis, you know, and she has passive income in there and stuff too, you know, and some people might not resonate with that. Some people will. And so that's, it's your unique flavor, like in that sense. And yeah, so optimizing, everyone understands that. Building your list. If you don't have a niche yet, just go to your local buy and sell groups and just start adding local people. And you can pick local, or you can pick like the next town or city over local. If you don't want to be adding friends of people just like your neighbor down the street, sometimes people aren't comfortable doing that right away, right? So that's okay. Build a list from a buy and sell group within your area, within 100 kilometers, the biggest city center closest to you. You know, go for that one because there'll be lots of people to pick from. And then you do the daily outreach. And so that involves building your list and adding friends. I should almost call this, because that's what that step totally is. And that makes it a little bit more clear. You build the list, and that's just like go to the group, and then you add the friends. You go to the members section, start adding your 50 friends a day, or 25 friends, or 100 friends, whatever your goal for the day is, right? Then new people are going to start adding you eventually, depending on how well you're optimized and depending on how well you're going for these groups or how targeted these groups. Like if you add 100 people, I can't give like exact numbers, but about 2 to 5% of those people will probably add you up eventually, right? Out of those 2 to 5 people, well, those probably are smaller numbers. I'm just trying to be conservative, but if you just keep adding your friends every day, you'll fill up your cup, just keep the wheels turning. People will start rolling in. So it's okay if it's not on the first days and stuff like that. I wanted to kind of make that known too. But you gotta always just kind of got to keep that optimistic mindset with like, today is the day, and today is going to be the best day, you know, and always keeping in that positive light with this, especially this type of marketing, because some days you might not get the response that you got the day before. It's not because you're wrong or the messaging system's wrong per se right off the bat. It's just some days are really good. Some days are really, they're just not good response sometimes. And that's okay. That's just going with the flow. So scroll through your messenger, and I have this here, and you'll find people that it says, say hi to your new Facebook friend. Mine are probably not going to say that because I already did mine all for the day. But eventually you'll find people where if you scroll down, it'll say this message, and that's how you know this person's a new friend and a new lead to message. And so all this is just review. I understand this. So all this, nothing of this has changed. Notice that this message right here is if you're messaging old existing friends. So another way to do this, if you don't have new friends or you're having trouble adding new friends, you can just always go into your friends list, or build a list of your friends and family that you think would be interested in anatomy, get 10 people to start with, and then go and send them this message on Facebook, or send them this message by text messenger. That is one way of doing this. And without trying to confuse people, but I really like to have this message in here, because if you're talking to someone that you know, it's a different message than someone that you've just met. So I do have that in there because I don't want people to sound like, quote unquote, robots to their friends and family. Because if you send this message, I saw that we had similar interests and wanted to reach out, they're going to be like, what planet are you on, man? Like, you know, so, but you can't be super, super friendly with people you've just met too much, because then that comes off really creepy. Because it's like, I don't know you yet, sir, ma'am, right? You need to have first introductions, and then eventually you can be really, really joke about certain things together, and just be more friendly in that sense. So that's why there are 2 different pre-connect messages, and actually there's 3 if you include the niche. So if you picked a niche, it's going to sound a little different again, because this is a more curated message, and it speaks more to an individual person. I saw that you're an entrepreneur and I wanted to reach out. I'm Brody Van Goodlife, and I'm helping entrepreneurs shop smarter online by working together, you know, and this is this promise that, like I've mentioned to Vince, this could change. If we find one that converts at 15%, we're going to change this and introduce this to everyone, right? Or ask everyone, test this out this next week, see how you like this message version better, right? If you get the same type of more positive response, you will be more likely to keep that response as well, right? Up until this point, does all of that make sense? Give me a thumbs up.
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. Perfect. So what has, okay, and then so that hasn't changed. This hasn't changed. And all this ask message is doing, it's called the second confirmation. And if you only get one confirmation, it's just sometimes not enough. People aren't, it hasn't emotionally ingrained in their brain. Even if you ask someone just kind of you ask someone to check someone out one time when you're at an outing, but you don't really get that confirmation at the end of the night, it's not really that confirmed with them. They're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Send it over to me, Michael. But then if you come to them later before they're leaving and be like, hey, it's been a great time. Oh, by the way, check your email. I'm gonna send something over to you. Is that okay? They're like, oh yeah, you mentioned that? Sure, absolutely. I'll go check that out once I get home. Awesome. 2 confirmations, 2 times the power, 2 times the confidence, 2 times everything is happening there. And so I do a 2 confirmation messaging model. Some people might have came from just a 1 confirmation model, but what ends up happening is you end up dealing with a lot of tire kickers. You end up dealing with a lot of people that said yes, but then they didn't have enough emotionally invested into it, so then they just give it up right away in a sense like that. So they're tire kickers. But you can turn tire kickers into more motivated people by emotionally investing them more. And so getting them to say yes twice, that's my reasoning behind it. So I'm repeating myself basically, but I'm letting them know that there's a community involved in this and if they would like an invite. So this doesn't have to change at all because we are going to be sending them an invite. And all the wording makes sense. We can just keep it. Where this changes is just this. And all this we get to say now is awesome. I have sent you an invite. Please accept it to gain access. Please check your notifications for the invite to gain access. Or someone's got a different, someone's got a more eloquent way of saying that, then speak now, forever hold your peace. And so what happens here now is, if I find some more marketing or more eloquent way to change this might change a little bit, but I'm happy with that. Awesome. Please check your notifications for the invite to gain access to the community. And that's when you can drop the exclamation mark because it's like, let's get excited, right? Like we've just done something, and then they're like, okay, cool. I got to take a look for that. So without trying to confuse people, there is an added step now in this. And I don't know how to explain this, or if I just put like an asterisk here or what. Like it's actually a step involved in here. But after they've said yes to this message, so I guess I could write it in this part right here. So first, add them to the group or invite them to the Smart Consumers group. Community. This is all right. And what we can do is I can add a little learn how in this video here. And what I can do for there is I can add a link to a video that teaches it, so if someone's not very tech savvy builder, I'll include a separate video right here that teaches people how to add someone to a group, right? Because that's not always common knowledge to people. I understand. Like it is common knowledge to everyone here, And that's just because you've gone through that and maybe watched a YouTube or someone showed you, but it'll be like a 30-second video that says, hey, congratulations, you've just got your second confirmation from your brand new lead prospect, or possible smart consumer. Now come over to the smart consumer group, and I might even just include that link so that people know, or I'll just do it like this. I'll hyperlink this, so if they click that, it'll go directly to the group. Yeah, I don't want to confuse them, or yeah, so that's cool. And then I'll create a tiny little video that basically shows them, great, congratulations. Click, find this box. It's usually on the right side on mobile, and I can maybe make one video for desktop and one video for mobile and put them together. And so people can kind of either way, if they're on either platform, they know how. You literally type their name into here, and as long as you are actually one of their friends, if you're not a friend of theirs yet, they will not show up in this box yet. You have to be a personal friend of theirs on Facebook to invite them to a group. But and honestly, it'd be really interesting if they're not your friend yet. Sometimes people direct outreach to you without you being their friend. Just know that if you're not your friend yet, they won't show up here. So if they're not showing up, that's probably the likely reason that they're not showing up there. So yeah, that's just kind of like a pro tip. But yeah, you click this, you type their name, and you add them. Done. And so without adding too many steps, Vince, like we agreed, I would say that is like good enough in itself. But to really make this effective would be to send this message now. And this would make them obviously good, okay, and then they'd make them look at their notifications, and it would make them actually accept the invite. If you don't tell them to look at their notifications, they might miss it, right? And then they don't get inside the group either. And one thing is, and so this might become like a step D, I guess. And so it's like, now it's not 1, 2, 3 ABC, or this can be part of the invite sequence here. Once they have accepted their invite, and so like I think once you've sent this, once they've said yes to this person has now became a qualified lead, or a QL, you could call them. Basically, they are an interested person, and this is when I would write them down in your little black book. This is when I would write them down in your CRM, if you have something as advanced as a customer relationship management software. I don't expect anyone to have anything that advanced. A piece of foolscap that says leads at the top, and I keep bringing up leads just because that's kind of like the industry term. I have that in the vocabulary. It's a sales lead or person or business who actually may eventually become a client/customer, I should say. So we're working with customers first, and then if they build a business, they're essentially a client in a way. They're a builder, we call them, because we don't want to sound too business executive. But how this would work is, once they've gotten to this step of ask and said yes, that's when I would write down their name. Because if something happens from this moment on, it's either one, because yes, they are not interested. More likely two is life happens and they forget about it. And so that's where follow-up comes into play. And I'm not going to go into follow-up on this call. All I'm saying is, once they've said yes, I would say probably number one, write their name down so you don't forget, because you just will. If you don't write their name down, you'll have new people come in, you'll probably forget about this person, and you might just move on with life. But these are all potential people that could potentially become in your business. So I would, at that moment, write their name, and then second, invite them to the Smart Consumers community, learn how here. And then number 3, for the invite sequence here, send this message. And so I guess at the top they could say, if they say yes. The previous message, I'll say. And this is all in a text format, which if you watch the video in tandem with this, it makes a lot of sense. But just someone reading through this, it probably doesn't even make any sense at all. But what we're doing is we're just getting a proof of concept, and then eventually I'll make this into a video with some slides on it, and then eventually they could have like a cheat sheet download document like this. But for everyone here, this is basically just a way of us working on this without spending a whole lot of time each time reinventing the wheel, me redoing the training video each time something changes. So if this document starts to get a little bit confusing, it might a little bit, because it's just because this stuff is actually meant to be in a training video once we have a proof of concept. So once they have accepted their invite, and this would be like a bonus step, I guess, for people that understand this right now, but I would say it's also probably one of the more crucial steps with this invite process is once they have accepted their invite, tag them in the welcome post. And that's something that I'm open to, like, I've always done that. I've always felt that's an effective way to get them to watch this video and get them to learn a little bit more about what opportunity we have, because videos are easy and they're really engaging to people. So I just let the video and how we do the video take the rest of the work, kind of explaining what this is. Whether or not this is an amazing video yet, I still have to probably make some adjustments and improvements. You know, even mentioning something like products at 30 to 80% off, I don't mention that in this video at the moment and stuff like that, right? So we can come to a conclusion of what we can add to that video to really motivate them to go ahead with this. So yeah, that's essentially the new way that I would recommend we move forward with this. And hopefully it's simpler to everyone. That's what I'm hoping for now. But we can have a little bit of questions and conclusion here together on what everyone thinks about that and what they like about it and what they want to see improve maybe, and what we could brainstorm together. This is what this is all about. This is what the mastermind is about.
He's waiting.
Crickets.
I see you thinking. Yeah. Well, basically it's a combination of the ATM, isn't it?
Absolutely, it totally is. It's ATM, and basically what we've added is we've just improved the optimization step, because I don't know if that was something that was talked about before too much, which is an important step. You need to show up as a professional. You need to show up as someone that has expertise for someone to actually want to accept your friend request. If you're just Joe down the road, most people won't accept your friend requests, I find. But if you optimize your profile, but then after that, there was a pre-connect message in the add tag message function, and maybe I should have introduced this in more of a way like that in the beginning. But I guess just not to confuse people, this has kind of been the 1, 2, 3 ABC, but now it's amalgamation, like you said. It is, truly. Does anyone have any questions with this new way of going forward, and comments and advice and tips, and yeah, anything is welcome.
I like how it's simplified for people that haven't been in a business before.
Yeah.
An online business.
It works for me, Gloria.
Yeah, because the steps are now set out that for people who haven't been online, they know what step to take first, second, and third. And they also know once they've invited the person, we're going to know who invited them, and they will know now they need to follow up with that person. Before, we didn't know whether they had joined the group or they hadn't responded to, they hadn't responded to anything. This way, we know that they have responded because we will see the notifications, and then we will know whether to follow up with these people or not.
Yeah, well, myself, I found that if I changed up the wording a little bit and just made it more personal, I got more responses. I mean, just sending that message straight into what Brady was saying before. That I had one lady say, "I don't know you. How rude," you know. And then she blocked me. So I mean, must have been a bad day for her. But I mean, that's what happens. Didn't worry me.
Well, and I think that's really interesting, and I think we should be definitely collaborating on what was that small addition, you know, and maybe we can implement that into the template. And I mean, it's a lot of it depends on location, demographic. You know, I wouldn't be going like, "Yo, what's up?" to someone, you know, that wouldn't be very professional. But maybe to someone that's a millennial, that resonates more with them, and that doesn't sound, you know, so like there's different ways to go about the messaging. And yeah, and I really value that you have taken initiative and responsibility to make it your own. And I think it's maybe something that I should have expressed a little bit more. I know I mentioned it a couple times, but I also didn't want anyone to like get caught up in the analysis paralysis of like, oh, I need to change my message because I'm different or something like that. That's the, you know, sometimes that's that limiting belief type of brain that's holding us back from just even getting started. Because yeah, it's not the prettiest, but I think we definitely need to come up with a template that can resonate with a general population when they come into this. So like Gloria said, they can just plug it in and start using it. There's not a whole lot of customization involved at all, you know, but eventually once they understand it, there's a lot of customization that can be involved, and you can very much make it very personal to you so that it's effective to you, type of thing like that. But yeah, I like that. That's great share. Great share.
I'm like you, Michael. I've been, and Gloria, I've been doing the messaging, but putting my little, the side that the real close friends, they know me. So those friends, I sort of make the message suit them, because then they go, oh, it's Pearl. Oh, that's cool. And they'll want to carry on chatting back to me. But for the stranger type of friend, I've had them for a while on Facebook. I've still used the same message, Brody, the ones that are written there. Maybe I'll put a smiley face in it.
Right.
And that softens it, and they seem to be happy with it as well. They go, oh, cool. I think I can't see them, but they're probably thinking, oh, that's right. I remember meeting Pearl one time, or we made friends a year ago, or whatever it was. So they seem to be quite happy to keep talking back. So that's good. I just do it with the personality. Maybe change a word or something, and it's okay. Working.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
well,
what I did, Pearl. I added a smiley face after their name.
same here.
I just added that to there because I've had that before, but like, and that's where it's just like, how rigid do we go and how fun and playful do we go, right? and there, it's a very fine dance. And I think that first message, it needs a little fun and play in it. It can't be too rigid, is what I've noticed now too. But then later on, when you're asking them to pull out the credit card, there's not a lot of smiley faces involved too much, because it's fairly serious business type of thing like that, right? Well, and that's just my personal experience from like very business related products and stuff like that, right? And so that's a great share and a great add. And I've added that now to the pre-connect messages, a smiley face. So I think that would be a great addition for sure. So great call.
So, Brody, the way like I go through the messenger, right? Send a friend request to people I think I can get on with, and then when they, you'll see the message say hi to your new friend. I start off with just saying hello and how are they coping with this crazy world we're in at the moment. And if they respond back, that's when I start getting into the sending the messages.
And that would be like a phase 2, a more advanced way of messaging. And I honor and very grateful that you've done that on your own now and understood that, because that's what eventually resonates more with people, right? And that's how normally people are reaching out to people. It's just, it's really hard to teach that to others, to just like, you say just like, oh, just have small talk with them. You say, oh, just kind of spark, but that's a skill that you've picked up over time, Michael, as well too. So, and I mean, maybe we have like a training later on that really identifies how to do that properly. It's not hard, but some people just have never done it, and so they maybe put their foot in their mouth, or they jump to conclusions right away, or they just don't sound natural. So then the person's like, what, just tell me what you're offering, where the way I present it is, hello, I know I'm a stranger. I've seen we have similar interests. Here's what I'm offering. Complete authenticity, complete openness. And I just get a lot of people either saying, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. Or I get people just like saying, or like, I just get a lot of positive response from being just very open, very authentic right away. And then just letting them know what I have. One thing I don't get a ton of is a lot of yeses, but I have it built into an automated system, which I'll eventually teach you guys down the road too, where this only takes about 5 minutes out of my day. And so by personally curating the messages, you can gain a lot more traction, but it takes more time. And so it's like that balance of like, how much time do I want to invest into the system to how much I'm getting out of it, like that, right? And so if I can still create 5 to 8 leads with this automated way, I'm happy with it. I know I'm not probably rubbing shoulders with people always the way they want to, but those just aren't my people then. That's the way I look at it, right? There's more fish in the sea type of vibe. But I really, I think that's the next level for all of us, and everyone to start learning that way. But that kind of has to be almost released as like, this is the phase 1 version. And then once they've graduated out of that, then you can start implementing the more effective phase 2 version, which means more customizations, more personalizations, more figuring out your niche and what that's all about, because like introducing too much of that earlier on, it just gets messy. But yeah, I agree. I just agree. And I was just kind of adding those little notes with it of why we kind of do it a little bit this way off the start. It's more to just be more general so that everyone can kind of jump into this and start using it right away. But yeah. Perfect. So I'm really glad that we had this meeting, and I feel like we balanced a lot of the uncertainty, maybe a little bit of the confusion that we are having, which I think will have a direct benefit on our messaging, on our attitudes, our moods, and everything like that, because I don't think it's ever anyone's fault to feel wrong. That shouldn't be something. So I'm very much come from a background where I'm not a person that wants people to make people feel wrong for feeling wrong, but we need to identify it and like bring it up and then realize why it's happening. And then together as a group, transcend it instead of just running away from it completely. And I think I really believe that's what we've done here tonight. And I just wanted to really congratulate everyone on that. And yeah, I feel really good. Hopefully you guys feel the same. But yeah.
Yeah, because it's taken all the confusion out of it.
Yes. Yes, it has. And I think it's taken out that last wondering, hey, is this person actually coming to the group or not? They said yes, but I have no control of that. Whereas now we have direct control over that now. And really all we need, and this is like, I think that's great for this evening. This has been the training. Everyone, if you have any questions, reach out in the Smart Builders group. If you have a really specific question or a really specific concern, reach out to us personally first, I think is probably best to help to not confuse some of the other members. But if it is a very general question that, if you think the whole group can benefit from going and discussing, then definitely add it to the group. But that's one thing that I've learned too. Sometimes it's just a personal concern and an issue. It's not really like a whole group concern and issue. And just reach out to myself, Vince, or Michael reaching out to Gloria to reaching out to Michael. Sometimes that happens, that interpersonal kind of discussion. And then there's some group discussion. So feel free to reach out personally, group-wise, whatever you feel is necessary or needed, do it that way. And yeah, we'll see you on next week.